All right, let's bring in the champ. Let's bring in the Venezuelan vixen right here, Julianna Pena, ahead of the launch of what should be a memorable Ultimate Fighter season. Julianna, congratulations on everything. I mean, you've blown us all away with the triumph of the human spirit that was your victory over Amanda Nunes. How are you taking it all in here as we inch so closer to this big rematch?
I'm taking it all in. That's over and done with. I'm ready to get on to the next one. Let's talk about when the rematch is and when we're going to get this thing happened again.
Love it. Love it right there. Of course, the Ultimate Fighter season of which you're coaching opposite the former champion Amanda Nunes will begin airing May 2nd on ESPN Plus and all of the ESPN family there. I'm assuming rematch later this year. Do you have any idea when?
I don't have a date set. Maybe you can help me though. I think that being on the John Jones card with John Jones and Stipe would be a good time to come back. September is good for me. So we got to figure out if it's good for Amanda, but I'm ready to go, Brian. I'm pumped and I'm training and I'm grinding. And so just say when, and I'll be there.
Okay. Let's get the dirt out of the way. You coached opposite Amanda. You had some fireworks on the build to your first fight, but I sense a lot of respect there. What was it like filming opposite her for this reality show where they almost want you to be spicy and mix it up?
Yeah, they do. I mean, I don't want to give away too much. You guys are just going to have to tune into the show and find out for yourself. But I'll say that, it was very interesting seeing, her and her team and their interactions and their dynamic on a daily basis. But you're right. There was a lot of respect there. But what's more interesting to me is the stories of the fighters, the journeys that these guys have been on and how incredible of fighters that they are and just the amount of talent that I had under my wing. I can't wait for you guys to be introduced to them and to see the next crop of upcoming UFC fighters.
So you certainly can gain things from the access you get during this season, certainly in terms of how you prepare for Amanda. What was the coaching aspect like for you? And has that been something you've dabbled in on your rise as a fighter?
It was a real interesting because I'm a fighter. And so to put my coach's hat on, they'd be like, how do you get out of this? And I'd be like, just don't do it. I don't know how to explain how to do it. I just don't do it. You know what I mean? Like I know. And so they would be like, how do you do it? And I kind of went back to my coaches and I saw the immense detail that they broke it down in. And I'm like, man, coaching and fighting are like so different. They're different, but they're similar. And so I had to put my coach's hat on, and that was a challenge in and of itself. But it was a great challenge and one that I knew I was going to be capable of doing. And I really did have a great time doing it.
When you were presented with the opportunity to coach, it gives you a, commercial close up in terms of your brand and becoming a star. And I'm sure that's cool. But did you want to just get the rematch over with? Like, how did you sort of address that opportunity when it was given to you?
Yeah, this opportunity was presented to me actually earlier before our fight, and she didn't accept the challenge, and so I was kind of bummed because I was like, "There's my opportunity to coach the Ultimate Fighter, something that I've always wanted to do." And so when it came back around a second time, of course, I jumped at the opportunity, and I was happy to know that she was finally on board with wanting to coach the season. So overall, I think that was great to get that under my belt. But in the back of my head, of course, I'm thinking about is this being a rematch. In fact, it's hard to separate myself from being a fighter. And now I have 8 new children that I have to take care of and be watching out for and training. And it's like, I want to be focusing on myself for my rematch, but at the same time, I got to help my team, So that contrast, I think, was a little bit difficult for me as well, because it's like, well, it's all about them. And I'm thinking, wait a second, it's all about me. But I'm like, no, it actually is really all about them. So I was excited to kind of step to the side and to, help lead the next generation.
All right. You got the FaceTime with your opponent ahead of this rematch. So what's something you learned about Amanda Nunes that surprised you during this filming?
She's a little bit more high maintenance than I had originally thought. I definitely, you'll see what I mean, but yeah, that's all I can say for now.
Okay. I mean, look, with membership, has its privileges. She's still a champion of the women's featherweight division. She's considered the GOAT. I mean, could you see yourself as champion now, becoming a little more high maintenance, a little diva action?
Well, I thought that I really was. I really thought that I was high maintenance, like the most high maintenance. Like no one gets more high maintenance than me, right? Like I'm a diva. And then like I kind of experienced like the things that Amanda was in. I'm just like, my goodness, like, wow. I didn't think that. So, I think I'll probably be the same throughout. It's nothing really is gonna phase me too much in terms of being more high maintenance or not. But that was just one thing that surprised me about her.
Interesting. Do you think you were able to gain any type of mental edge during this experience?
I think I've always had the mental edge when it comes to Amanda. I've been calling out this fight for the last 5 years, and she hasn't wanted to fight me. She's always made every excuse, like me not making myself worthy for her, or, oh, I'm going to fight Ronda instead, or just finding a way to get out of every fight that we have. So, obviously, what I feel and what I say and how I approach things bothers her because, she's made that very clear.
All right. You came into this first fight, UFC 269 December, a monster underdog, but I mean, you were determined at a level where we're wondering, like, does she know something we don't know? Which obviously you knew about yourself, but like, almost like, is she crazy? Now, do you have to make yourself a little bit crazy to buy into yourself at that level when you're such a big underdog?
I'll tell you two things. Number one, fighters are crazy. We fist fight for a living. So there's your first answer. Obviously, there's something wrong with me. I chose getting punched in the face for a living. So the crazy, we got that. The second part is, when you know how much work you've put in, when you know how hard you've been working and going into those 2 days, 3 days, 6 days a week and just grinding, nobody can take that away from you. Nobody can take that mat time away or say that you're a liar or say that you're not ready for this fight or say that you're unprepared. I know what I did. I know how hard I worked. And so it wasn't that I was crazy for believing in myself. It was just, I knew what I did. I knew what it took. And I knew that I was not going to be denied that night, just like I'm not going to be denied when that future date happens. And when you put in that work, it's all over but the crime. So I just knew that I just needed them to let me off that leash, say when, and I was going to get my hand raised. It wasn't so much crazy as much as it is hard work.
Well, it was a crazy moment. Like, you feel like you watch enough MMA and you can, to a strong degree, predict what's going to happen. You were always showed these flashes of potential to become a legit title contender and top fighter. And, I remember when you seemingly were closing in on Ronda Rousey when she was champion, but better than us, your career has had all kinds of hiccups and ups and downs. Have you always kept that same energy, as they say? Meaning, okay, it's stupid to me to ask, did you always believe in yourself? Obviously you did. That's how you got here, but you've had to have faced doubts along that journey where, like, forget us not knowing if you could climb that mountain. How did you stay so level through the injury, giving birth, all that time away?
There's one thing that I think that separates, the elite from the regular people. There's a dog, Brian. There's a little dog that lives inside of me, but it's actually a real big dog, and it's a scary dog. And when you have that dog mentality, and when you have that, I am literally going to rip your face off if it's the last thing that I do type of grind in your head, and you're crazy enough, and you actually know the work that you put in, it's easy to say, come one, come all, I'll take you all on at the same time. Who wants some? Come get some. I don't care if you weigh 160 pounds, 115 pounds. I will fight anybody that you put in front of me. There is a dog that lives inside of me, and I will not be denied. And when we do find out, whatever happens, you're going to remember that you were in a scrap with me, period.
It was one of the rare times as a journalist / fan where it was not only like throw out the odds, whatever, but like, I mean it, Julianna. It was a triumph of the human spirit. You made a decision that no matter what was coming, you weren't going to back up. And sports isn't usually that simple. Everybody coming to every fight believes they're going to win, right? But there really was something different in the cage that night. Could you at least I don't know, like confirm that there was a different kind of energy there that you showed pretty early that this isn't the regular Venezuelan Vixen that we used to know?
I don't know. I really do think that I'm special, Brian. I am a special person and I work really hard and I try to be a good person. I have a very strong faith in God. I feel protected and I feel like in this moment, it's my time. It is my time right now. And, I can confidently say that because I know how hard I work. And so when you work hard, when you be a good person, when you do things the right way, when you're not cutting corners, good things are going to happen to you. And I truly believe that.
This has me so fired up for this rematch. I'm sure the Ultimate Fighter season will get me even closer, but I don't know what the second fight's going to look like now. So to ask you that, I'm going to ask you this. Do you believe you will get a much more focused Amanda Nunes across from you, a much more driven, because I did see some reactions to her from her in the fight against you that I've never seen her have before in a big moment?
I think that I lit a gas can of fire right underneath her behind, and she is going to be more focused than she's ever been. I think that she's going to be the best Amanda that she's ever been, which is funny because that's what she said she was going to do the first time. So now I have to be like, okay, no, this time it's serious, right? This time she's being for real. She's coming at 110%. And I'm going to get the best version of Amanda Nunes. And that's great because I was ready for that best version of Amanda Nunes in August. I was ready for that best version of Amanda Nunes in December. And whenever that date happens, hopefully in September on the John Jones card, I will be ready for that best version of Amanda Nunes. And I will be willing and able, I can and I will meet that head on and do everything in my power to get my hand raised.
Okay. Was there a turning point in the midst of the first fight for you at all where you said, this is easier than I thought it was? And I hate saying that because nothing about that win was easy. You took big shots from the biggest puncher in the history of the sport. Okay, well, was there a moment where you were like, these aren't knocking me over, these punches, I'm taking them? I mean, did you have a sort of epiphany like that in the midst of it?
Yeah, I said there's no way she hits harder than Talia Halverson, my 16-year-old Olympic hopeful who's fighting this Saturday for USA Boxing in Cleveland, Ohio. I just go in there and I get my live sparring sessions on by this 16-year-old who mollywops my ass all around the ring. And so I'm like, she ain't hitting harder than Talia. And so that to me is another confidence booster to know that, I have such a great team around me, and no matter what the outcome, I will be ready. And I am so excited for when that time comes.
Did you keep any mementos? Did you take any souvenirs from that first fight that night?
Yes, I took that Reebok shirt off of that Reebok guy who has always been fighting me every tooth and nail. Every fight week, he fights me on socks, he fights me on underwear, he fights me on everything. And so when he was like, here, congratulations, I ripped that shirt right out of his hand. I said, give me that black shirt. You give me that black shirt. Now it's mine. Now put some respect on my name, guy. Quit fighting me on Reebok socks. So yes, that was a memento that I took. I still have it in the plastic bag. And you know what? The other day I opened it up and I smelt it and it smelled like that night. And so that is a very special shirt for me.
You don't like pull punches talking about anybody. I saw some headlines where you're dropping bombs on Ronda. I also saw you mention Kayla Harrison in the whole, she almost made the move over here. What happened with her in the gym and Amanda leaving here? You've been outspoken speaking out on that. So let's ask you this. When the rumors were strong that Kayla could be jumping ship and she's showing up front row at UFC events, were you thinking I may have to fight her instead? I mean, what was going through your mind?
No, if you go back to my interviews like months ago, I knew she was going to stay with the PFL and I said she wasn't coming over here. And I knew that she absolutely wouldn't be making that jump. The PFL has surrounded their entire organization and hinged their entire operation on one girl. And that's Kayla. They cannot lose their one dog that they got in the fight. It's not going to happen. So they're going to hold on to her for everything that they got. And guess what? I ain't hating on you, boo-boo. Get your paper. You just won $2 million in the last 2 years fighting these tomato cans. Do you know what I mean? Like, get your money. I'm sorry. I don't mean to say tomato cans. I just mean to say, I think like 9 of her wins were off of like tough alternates, you know what I mean? And so I'm fighting the elite. I'm fighting the best of the best. I'm fighting world champion after world champion. I got Nico Montano, Valentina Shevchenko, Jermaine Durandi, man, freaking Amanda Nunes. You know, I'm fighting the hitters out there. So she was welcome to come. She didn't come. And so when her contract's up, she'll be welcome to come again. And if she wants to come jump ship, then, you know, we'll be ready and we'll be welcoming her with open arms.
Wow. We have to let her know about the dog you've got inside of you. If Amanda, who's the GOAT, loses to you twice, do you become the GOAT, or is the GOAT become vacant? What do you think about all that?
I don't know. Do you think that when you beat the GOAT that you become the GOAT slayer? Like, is that kind of so. Like, yeah, okay, well then I think I might be the GOAT slayer. It's weird, right? So when you're in jujitsu and you're a white belt, but you submit a purple belt, you're like, give me your purple belt. You're a purple belt and I just submitted you, you know, like I should get that. But it doesn't really work like that, right? It's like you got to put in the time and then they'll give you the purple belt over time. So you know, I beat Amanda and I'm going to beat Amanda again. And if they want to put me in GOAT conversation, that's fine. But guess what? That's not a cap that I want to wear. That's not a hat that I feel like suits me, because it puts so much added pressure that I don't want. You know what I mean? It's like, just call me Julianna Pena instead, or just call me the Venezuelan Vixen and just know me as, you know, one of the best female fighters in the world. That to me has more weight than, you know, people throwing around GOAT, because I think people throw the term around a little bit too loosely.
Yeah, it's our fault. We got a lot of podcast hours to fill on this side of the business, so we do stuff like that. But they can call you champ if you get by Amanda a second time. I can't wait. Everybody's going to tune in May 2nd, ESPN Plus. Check out The Ultimate Fighter as the season kicks off. Amanda, Julianna, it's been great talking to you. And, you know, best of luck. You're slaying. Keep it up.
Thank you. Have a great day. Appreciate the time.